I'm talking quarter pound of beef on the hot, hot side.
And the hot stays hot.
The new McDLT.
Your girlfriends are eating.
Hi.
Wendy's fresh stuffed pitas in 4 mouth-watering varieties.
You know those late 90s nights when your parents finally caved and pulled into the drive-thru? You're sitting in the back seat, rattling off your order like it's the highlight of your week. And back then, fast food hit different. Not just because you were a kid, but because half the stuff we loved doesn't even exist anymore. Some of it got banned, some of it got discontinued, and some just quietly disappeared like it never happened. But we remember. From fried pies that burned your tongue to pizzas that held up the drive-thru line, these were the 90s fast food classics we'll never forget. Number 1. McDonald's McDLT.
You get a hot side hot. You get a cool side cool. New McDLT.
Okay, let's start with one that feels like peak 90s weirdness, the McDLT. If you grew up in that era, you probably remember the pitch. The hot side stays hot, the cool side stays cool. They served it in this giant styrofoam container with 2 compartments. So you had the burger patty on one side and the lettuce tomato chilling on the other. Then you'd fold it together like some kind of science experiment. It was marketed as innovation. But let's be real, it was basically a burger that made you do half the work. And the container? Yeah, it was awful for the environment. By the early 90s, styrofoam was public enemy number 1, and the McDLT quietly disappeared. But here's the thing, if you ever cracked open that box in the backseat of your parents' car, you still remember the smell of that warm burger hitting the cold lettuce. Pointless gimmick? Yeah, maybe, but it's unforgettable. Number 2, McDonald's fried apple pies.
Hot apple pie, like you've never seen or tasted before. Tender, flaky pastry.
If you've ever made the mistake of taking a bite of one of these fried apple pies as soon as it was served, then you know how much it burns the tongue. Unless you've got an oven in your mouth to handle that crazy hot filling. But did that stop you? Nope. You just keep going, burning the roof of your mouth like it was a badge of honor. These things were legendary in the 90s. Golden, crispy shells that would shatter all over your lap. That smell of fried dough and cinnamon sugar was pure comfort in a little cardboard sleeve. And then they took them away. By 92, McDonald's switched over to baked pies, trying to look healthier. Technically safer too, but baked pies never had that same magic. They were fine, but not crave-worthy. If you were lucky enough to travel or had family in Hawaii, you might have noticed fried pies never left some menus overseas, which just proves it wasn't us, it was them. Number 3, McDonald's McPizza.
McDonald's pizza. McDonald's pizza.
So here's one that feels almost mythical now, the McPizza. And yes, it was exactly what it sounds like. McDonald's trying to go toe-to-toe with Pizza Hut. On paper, it wasn't a bad idea. Families loved pizza nights. McDonald's wanted in. And honestly, the McPizza didn't taste terrible. Cheesy, saucy, a little greasy, basically what you'd expect. But here's the problem. Fast food is all about speed, and this thing took 11 minutes to cook. 11. That might not sound like much now, but back then, it turned the drive-thru into a parking lot. Parents in minivans were not amused. By the mid-90s, McPizza quietly disappeared from most locations. But some small-town McDonald's held on to it for years, even into the 2000s. That's why some of you swear you remember it, while others look at you like you're making it up. It was real. It just didn't belong in the land of fast. Number 4, McDonald's Onion Nuggets.
McOnion Bits. They're tasty, bite-sized pieces of sweet onion deep-fried to a golden brown.
Now here's one almost nobody talks about anymore. Onion nuggets. Yeah, nuggets, but made out of onions. McDonald's tested them back in the late 70s and into the early 80s, and for a hot minute, they were still floating around in the early 90s. Picture little fried chunks of onion, battered up just like chicken. They were crunchy, salty, and kind of addictive. If you were into onions. If not, well, it was probably your worst nightmare. Here's the wild part though. The onion nugget is basically the reason Chicken McNuggets even exist. McDonald's liked the idea of bite-sized fried finger food so much they just swapped the onion for chicken. And the rest is history. So yeah, they didn't last, but in a weird way, every McNugget Happy Meal we begged our parents for owes a little something to these forgotten onion bites. Number 5, McDonald's Beef Tallow Fries. All right, let's settle something right now. If you grew up in the 80s or early 90s and swear McDonald's fries tasted better back then, you're not crazy. They did. Before 1990, McDonald's cooked their fries in a blend that included beef tallow. That's beef fat, which sounds kind of wild now, but it's what gave those fries their insane flavor. They were rich, salty, and had that perfect can't eat just one vibe. Honestly, half the reason Happy Meals hit so hard was because of those fries. Then came the big health wave. Activists pushed McDonald's to ditch animal fat, and by 1990, they switched to 100% vegetable oil. Was it healthier? Probably. Did they ever taste the same again? Nope, they didn't. Even today, older millennials will swear the fries lost their magic. So when people argue about why McDonald's fries don't slap like they used to, this is why. The flavor changed forever the moment the oil did. Number 6, Wendy's Superbar.
You know, Wendy's Superbar is great for families because there's something for everyone, like our fresh salads from our garden spot, Mexican food.
If you were a 90s kid, the Wendy's Superbar probably feels like a fever dream now. But it was real. And for families on a budget, it was everything. Imagine walking into Wendy's and instead of just ordering a burger and fries, you got an actual buffet. We're talking pasta with red sauce, taco fixings, a full salad bar, even little breadsticks. And the best part? It was cheap. Like $3 or $4 cheap. Parents loved it because you could pile plates high, feed 2 kids, and still walk out under $10. But of course, it couldn't last. Cleaning those bars was a nightmare. Food waste piled up. And in the 90s, fast food was moving towards speed, not buffet-style dining. By 1998, the Superbar quietly disappeared. Still, for a lot of us, it was our first taste of all you can eat. And let's be honest, nothing hit harder than that taco bar when you were 9 years old and starving after soccer practice. Number 7, Wendy's fresh stuffed pitas.
Your girlfriends are eating. Wendy's fresh stuffed pitas in 4 mouth-watering varieties.
Now, these were for the people in your family who swore they were eating healthy at Wendy's. The fresh stuffed pitas. And honestly, they were kind of ahead of their time. You could grab a chicken Caesar, garden ranch, or even a Greek pita, and it felt lighter, fresher, a little more grown up than a burger. Moms and aunts loved to order them while you were still smashing nuggets and fries. And if we are being real, they were actually good. The pita bread was warm, the fillings were fresh, and it didn't feel like fast food in the same greasy way. But the wrap craze faded as quickly as it came, and by the early 2000s, the stuffed pitas quietly disappeared from menus. Still, if you ever snuck a bite off your mom's order, you know they deserved way more love than they got. Number 8, Pizza Hut Bigfoot Pizza.
Bigger than 2 large pizzas. 21 slices for $16.90.
The Bigfoot Pizza wasn't just another menu item. For 90s kids, it was a whole spectacle. 2 feet long, packed into this giant rectangular box that looked oversized even in your parents' hands. When it hit the kitchen table, the night instantly felt special. Birthday parties, sleepovers, or just a Friday night when your parents finally said yes. Bigfoot Pizza turned an ordinary evening into something unforgettable. It had 21 slices, which felt endless when you were a kid. Everyone grabbed a couple, and there were still leftovers to argue about later. Behind the scenes, though, it was a mess for Pizza Hut. They needed special pans, huge boxes, and longer cook times. It slowed everything down, wasted dough, and made operations a headache. By the mid-90s, the Bigfoot quietly disappeared. Still, if you ever opened that box and saw a sea of cheesy, greasy pizza staring back at you, you know why it became a legend. Number 9, Burger King dinner baskets.
With the basket? All right. Does it work for you?
Works for me, it's good.
It's your way, right away.
If you told someone today that Burger King once had something called dinner basket on their menu, they'll probably be like, no way. But they actually did. In the early 90s, they wanted people to sit down and have a restaurant-style meal at a fast food joint. The idea was simple. Order your basket, steak, fried shrimp, chicken, even a Whopper, and instead of rushing back to your car, you'd sit at a table. While you waited, employees brought out popcorn like you were at a movie theater. Then your meal came in a basket with options like coleslaw or a baked potato on the side. For families, it was kind of cool. Fast food with a little flair. But here's the thing. People don't go to Burger King for table service. They wanted quick burgers and fries, not steak dinners under fluorescent lights. So by the mid-90s, the experiment ended. Still, if you ever got a dinner basket, you probably remember thinking, this feels way fancier than it should, and then laughing about it later. Number 10, Taco Bell Bell Beefer. Alright, this one always makes me laugh. The Bell Beefer. It was basically Taco Bell's way of saying, hey, what if we made a taco, but on a hamburger bun? And that's exactly what it was. Seasoned taco meat, lettuce, cheese, and sauce slapped onto a bun. For some families in the 70s and 80s, it was actually a hit, especially for people who weren't ready to dive into tacos yet. By the early 90s, though, America had fully embraced tacos, nachos, and burritos. The Bell Beefer suddenly felt like the awkward cousin at the family party, still hanging around, but nobody really wanted it. By 1993, it was phased out completely. And honestly, it makes sense. Taco Bell's whole vibe was bold flavors and tortillas, not sloppy joes in disguise. But if you ever tried one, you know it was messy, it was strange, and it was definitely a little piece of fast food history. Number 11. Taco Bell Volcano Taco, Spicy Legend. If you were a 90s kid, you remember the Volcano Taco. That bright red shell with the fiery lava sauce. It wasn't just food, it was a challenge. The kind of thing your older cousin dared you to try, and you pretended it didn't set your tongue on fire even though it absolutely did. This was peak Taco Bell energy in the mid-90s. Over the top, a little gimmicky, but unforgettable. It became the go-to item for anyone who thought regular tacos were too tame. And the name alone, Volcano Taco, made it feel dangerous in the best way. The funny part? It kept making little comebacks. They'd bring it back for a limited run, everyone would get hyped, and then just as quickly, it would vanish again. Almost like Taco Bell knew they could keep chasing it forever. If you were lucky enough to taste one, you know exactly why it still comes up in conversations today. That red shell lives rent-free in all of our heads. Number 12. Subway Seafood Sensation.
Subway Seafood and Crab Sub, a processed seafood and crab preparation at Subway.
Now this one's funny because a lot of 90s kids loved it back then, but they didn't really want to know what was in it. The Subway Seafood Sensation. It was this creamy crab and mayo mix piled into a sub, and for some reason, it just worked. If you grew up hanging around malls in the 90s, you probably grabbed one of these from the food court. The smell was unmistakable, briny, a little sweet, and kind of comforting in a weird way. And when you bit in, it was creamy, cold, and way different from Subway's usual lineup. Of course, the mystery was half the fun. Was it real crab? Probably not. But back then, nobody cared. It was cheap, it filled you up, and it became a quiet favorite for a lot of 90s kids and their parents. By the early 2000s, it started fading from US menus, but if you ever had one, you know exactly why people still talk about it. Was it strange? Yes, it was. But was it delicious? Also, yes. When you look back at these fast food classics, it's not just about what you were eating. It's about where you were in life. Sitting in the back seat with greasy fingers after soccer practice, splitting a Bigfoot pizza with friends at a birthday sleepover, sneaking a bite of your mom's healthy pita at Wendy's. These meals were part of growing up in the 90s. They weren't perfect. Some were straight up gimmicks, but they gave us moments we still talk about decades later. And that's the funny thing. You don't just remember the food. You remember the laughter, the car rides, the family nights when $5 stretched farther than it should have. So now it's your turn. Which one of these do you miss the most? Drop it in the comments. Let's see which 90s fast food legend deserves a comeback. And leave us a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us bring more fun, nostalgic 90s moments you've probably forgotten you lived through.